Did you ever wonder if there's anything more to the human than this physical body that we have? Well, it's real interesting because if we go back in history, they talk about something called spirit, an energy, and an invisible force that seems to be controlling who and what we really are. Quantum physics emphasizes that the universe is not really split into two realms, a material realm and an energetic realm. Quantum physics reveals that everything is made out of energy. What we perceive as matter is actually an illusion of energy and light, that there is nothing physical. You know, what do you mean? I say, well, first of all, a very simple fact. When physicists started to take the atom apart and find there were things inside such as protons, neutrons, and electrons, then they say, yeah, but what are those things made out of? Then they got down to smaller things like quarks, and then I say, yeah, but what were they made out of? And ultimately what physicists recognized was at the fundamental core of an atom, there is nothing material at all. It's an energy vortex. It's a powerful energy field, and that all atoms are these energy fields. And the significance about that is, well, atoms make up humans. And so by definition, we perceive ourselves as physical structures, but according to quantum physics, we're energy vortices. Imagine a cell as a television set, and that the environmental signal, like a broadcast, is being picked up by the antennas on that television set. And therefore, the cell responds to that broadcast. Well, guess what? Everyone has a different set of antennas, so by definition, everyone is receiving a different broadcast field. Field, yeah, that's what physicists refer to as the energy in which we live. So all of us are in a field, but each one of us actually receives a very precise and specific part of that field different than everybody else. No two people share the same self-receptors. That's why we just can't exchange cells, organs, and tissues with each other. Now comes an interesting part. If the cell is like a television receiving a broadcast, then consider this. What happens if you're watching your TV and it breaks? We say the TV's dead. I go, yeah. But now the question is this. Yes, the TV just died, but is the broadcast still there that I was watching? The answer, of course it's still there. The television's gone, the broadcast is present. I say, how would you know? Well, one way of knowing, get another TV set, plug it in, turn it on, and tune it to the right station, and the show is back on air. Well, this would apply directly to humans as well. I have an identity due to a set of receptors receiving an environmental signal. If I die, I have no more reception, and therefore my broadcast exists, but there's no TV to express it. If an embryo shows up in the future with the same set of self-receptors that I have, well then guess what? I'm back online in a different TV. Does it have to be a male or female TV? Nope, that's the TV. Well, how about, is it black, white, brown, red, yellow? No, that's the TV. That's not who you are. You are the broadcast. And lastly, it's important to note that the character that you express in this life is actually sent back to your source, because your brain is not keeping your consciousness in your head, because magnetoencephalographs, unlike electroencephalographs, magnetoencephalographs read your brain function, but the probes don't even touch your head. There's a very important concept right here. Your thoughts are not contained in your head. They're broadcast into the field. And as Einstein emphasized, the field is the sole governing agency of the particle, matter. And then we put all of this together and says, your biology is an expression of this matter, but it's actually shaped by the field, a field that exists whether you're here or not. And then all of a sudden, the ancient story of spirituality now conforms to the modern day science of quantum physics. You're a field, you're a spirit, you're more than this. And when you understand that, it is the first step towards your personal empowerment.
We have an evil and corrupt medical system. You might believe that the Western medicine that we have today always existed, but it's only about 100 years old. The one you can thank is John D. Rockefeller. He was an oil billionaire that became the richest man in the United States. In 1863, he opened his first oil refinery in Cleveland. Rockefeller believed that competition was sin and that he needed to eliminate the competition. Therefore, he started to buy every oil refinery that he could find in Cleveland, and within 2 years, he owned most of them. Over a decade later, his company Standard Oil owned most oil refineries in the United States. His control over the oil market created the first American monopoly. The government didn't like this, so they forced his companies to split into smaller companies. Because of Rockefeller's greed, not many people liked him. He wanted to fix his reputation, but at the same time earn even more money. Then he found a brilliant solution. Rockefeller found out that there was a way to use his oil to create drugs. His oil was only worth about a nickel per gallon, but if he used his oil to create drugs, he could earn millions of dollars per gallon. In order for him to succeed with his plan, he bought the German company IG Farben. It was the same company that would later assist Hitler when he killed Jews. Rockefeller's biggest threat was natural health. One big problem with natural remedies was that it wasn't possible to patent them. Therefore, he needed to eliminate it. The first step in the takeover of the medical system was to take over the medical schools. Rockefeller then employed a man called Abraham Flexner. His task was to make a report of the medical schools in America. Flexner was against natural health and believed that it was quackery and that hospitals needed to use allopathic scientific medicine. Flexner released his report in 1910. In his report he said that American schools should impose higher admission and graduation standards. The Congress then accepted his report and medical schools had to teach allopathic medicine. Allopathic medicine is when you use drugs to treat illnesses but don't cure them. When Rockefeller got the green light that medical schools had to teach allopathic medicine, he and the Carnegie family gave grants to medical schools. They told the medical board that they would receive money, but they had to have one representative on the board of directors. And after that, medical doctors started to treat illnesses with drugs. Rockefeller also created the American Medical Association. This organization introduced a medical licensing system. Only doctors that had a license could work as a doctor, and everyone else that used natural remedies got eliminated. The Rockefellers are one of the biggest names in the eugenics movement. It's the belief that the world is overpopulated and that we need to shrink it. Rockefeller and other elite banking families believed that they were better than anybody else and that they needed to create a pure race. The eugenics movement started in America before Hitler killed Jews. It was actually the Rockefellers that introduced this concept to him and helped him kill a lot of people. The Rockefellers also started the organization Planned Parenthood. Its aim was to reduce pregnancies in women. Bill Gates' father was once the leader of this organization, and that's the reason why Bill Gates is so involved in eugenics. The Rockefellers and other elite banking families also created the Federal Reserve. It's a central bank in America that creates money from thin air. Bankers met in secrecy in Jekyll Island 1910. Their plan was to take over the financial system. In 1913, they got the Congress to pass a bill where the money would be created from a central bank. And with the control over the production of money, the Rockefellers and other elite families could now buy everything they wanted. The aim of Big Pharma medicine is not to make people healthy. Instead, its goal is to make everyone sick, because you can't earn a lot of money if people are healthy. All drug companies work together as one network. The whole system can only continue if there are sick people. If people were healthy, then the whole system would collapse. You can't become healthy if you follow the corrupt system. Psychopaths created the medical system that we have today, and they still run it. Unless we don't realize this, we will continue to stay sick and never heal.
Energy healing is one of the oldest practices known in the world today. Since 4000 BC, healers have understood that our health greatly depends on the quality of energy that flows through and makes up our bodies. Science has verified this through years of research and discoveries. In 1918, Max Planck, a German physicist, was awarded the Nobel Prize in Physics and became known as the father of quantum theory. He states concerning his study of atoms, "There is no matter as such. Matter originates and exists only by virtue of a force which brings this particle of an atom to vibration and holds this most minute solar system of the atom together." In 1921, Albert Einstein was awarded the Nobel Prize in Physics for his vital role in the development of quantum physics, the study of the smallest units of energy. His conclusion? Energy is all there is. Not many people believed in this theory at first, until about a decade later. Robert Andrews Millikan, another American physicist, proved it through his experiments. In 1939, Simon Krillian, a Russian electrical technician, discovered what is now known as Krillian photography, using pulsed high-voltage frequencies to take pictures of the radiating energy fields that surround all living things. Continued years of research proved that all things, whether animate or inanimate, have a vibrant energy field. Today, powerful microscopes show that, at the subatomic level, there are vast distances between each spinning electron, making up any substance. Atoms are 99.9999 to the infinity, empty space. Your body seems solid, but it is made up, as everything is, of dynamic energy in constant vibration. Physicists now understand that the so-called subatomic particles which make up the atom are not really particles at all. They measure the contents of the atom in energy units instead, because it is so much more accurate. Everything found in, on, under, and above the universe has its own unique energy vibration. Energy moves in pulses like waves. How close together the waves are is called frequencies. How frequently the wave occurs. This range of frequencies is called the electromagnetic spectrum. The more positive the energy of any given matter, the closer the frequencies. The more negative the energy of any given matter, the wider the frequencies. In the 1940s, Dr. Harold Saxon Burr, medical researcher at Yale, determined that pathology could be detected in the energy field of the body long before symptoms began to emerge. We now know that the body is 40 to 60% involved in the disease when a symptom occurs. Dr. Burr proposed that diseases could be prevented by adjusting or manipulating the energy field. Also in the 1940s, the results of a study done by an Oxford biophysicist, C.W.F. McClare, found that energy signals are 100 times more efficient and infinitely faster than physical chemical signaling. In 1956, Japanese scientists did groundbreaking research that proved beyond a doubt that there were both electric and magnetic forces in the body. By exposing the body to pulsing electromagnetic fields, they created electrical changes on a cellular level and altered cell metabolism, known as the piezoelectric effect. Scientific studies have confirmed that the human body is controlled and regulated by a quantum energy field. It is an electromagnetic static being with frequency patterns. They have resonance, reactance, and self-correcting capacities. Each cell in the body operates at a certain vibrational frequency. Together, these frequencies form an energy pattern unique to each individual. It is your personal, distinctive thumbprint or address in the universe. Every human thought, emotion, and action has a certain vibrational energy pattern. Viruses, bacteria, fungi, parasites, diseases, etc. all have resonant energy patterns. Our cells network together to keep our body in harmony. Stress produces erratic vibrations that lead to disharmony, followed by injury and disease. The body's first signal that all is not well is vibrational or electromagnetic. In 1964, a SQUID, superconducting quantum interference device, was invented by scientists at Ford Research Labs. Using this device, scientists have learned that all of the tissues and organs of the body produce specific magnetic vibrations, biomagnetic fields. it has been determined that the biomagnetic field in the space around the body gives a more accurate reading of the patient's health than traditional electric measurements, like the EEGs and the EKGs. Western medicine acknowledges and accepts the existence of this electromagnetic field without reservation, but for many years has only measured the electrical component of it through the EKG, electrocardiogram, which measures the electrical impulses of the heart. First used in 1895, and the EEG, electroencephalogram, which measures the electrical activity of the brain, used since 1913. What is now termed the traditional Western approach to medicine changed during the Civil War, when the focus shifted to the external cause of disease, dramatic intervention, and symptom suppression. Also, the development of the pharmaceutical industry has greatly influenced the shift of the Western medicine paradigm, from treating the root cause of diseases and disorders and viewing the body from a holistic perspective to a strong focus on medicating symptoms. With this influence and what has become a multi-billion-dollar industry, the true traditional approach to healing became alternative. And more natural modalities of healing, such as biofeedback, were portrayed unscientific, new age, and filled with charlatans. Today, mainstream science and Western medicine once again are beginning to acknowledge the existence of the energy meridians used by ancient Chinese medical doctors for thousands of years. Scientific research continues to confirm that we are beings of energy. As technology continues to advance, scientists and doctors are realizing the importance of keeping the body in a state of balance. The latest scientific and medical research is proving how healthy you are is directly related to how balanced your energy field is.
Hello, dear friend. My name is Evgeny Chernogubov. I run the company that, together with doctors and scientists practicing in various medical institutions, has been conducting research, developing and manufacturing devices in the field of bioresonance technologies for more than 20 years. Today, I would like to tell you what bioresonance is, and not only tell, but also show it in use. Let's start from history. In 1920, a scientist Royal Raymond Rife invented the world's first ultraviolet microscope and micromanipulator. Using this sophisticated apparatus, Rife was the first to see a live virus. Rife painstakingly identified the individual emission spectrum of each microbe using the properties of the spectral slice. Then he acted on the virus with its own frequency, which led to a resonance. The resonance increased the emission of the frequency, much like two ocean waves reinforce each other when they merge together. Thus, the scientist increased their natural oscillations until the viruses died from emission. Thus, the research was started, during which it turned out that bacteria, viruses, fungi and worms emitted a certain frequency of electromagnetic oscillations. And this means that by acting on their own frequency, it is possible to help the body get rid of parasites. Understanding, we can give an example of the destruction of a wine glass from sound. If you hit the glass lightly with a spoon, it will ring like a bell at its resonant frequency. If the glass is subjected to sound pressure at a certain frequency, it begins to vibrate. As the stimulus continues, the vibration in the glass is accumulated until it destroys when mechanical limits are exceeded. Now, I would like to show the effect of resonance on various microorganisms. To do this, I need a good microscope with a camera connected, a professional frequency generator connected to a computer, where I can set a special signal shape and frequency, and a special emitter antenna, which is used in our devices. I will place it under a petri dish or glass slide. Before we start our experiments, I would like to show you something. I'll get tap water. Let's look at water under a microscope. There are a lot of living organisms here, most of them will die in our stomach, but some can perfectly continue to live in our body causing various diseases. Let's open a pack of rice and see what lives on it. It's good that we cook rice for a long time before eating. If you like bananas, then this is for you. Life is present here too. And what lives in the pulp? Let's get a look. Here we have found several bacteria and a strongyloid larva. It is the larva of a parasitic roundworm that can cause disease in humans and animals. The larva can penetrate the skin or mucous membranes and spread throughout the body through the blood and lymph. Getting into our mouth, it quickly penetrates into the blood capillaries and causes a reaction in our body only after 17 to 28 days, causing diarrhea. Let's run a cotton wool stick across an office door handle and see what might live on it. As you can see, there are a lot of pathogens here. Many types of bacteria, especially many bacteria called Shigella. When they get into our body, they cause an acute intestinal infection if we did not wash our hands well enough, scratched our eyes or nose, or ate, for example, a tangerine. At the same time, let's look at tangerines. There is life on the surface too. Let's clean it up and take a look inside. Let's look at the pulp. Here we see fungal spores, and we also see Ascaris eggs. Each egg contains up to 175,000 larvae, which during migration feed first on our blood serum, and then on red blood cells. As they grow older, roundworm individuals grow in our body up to 45 centimeters. They can also be observed on a sponge, a cotton pad, which we will run over the pads of the dog's paws after walking. As you can see, there are a lot of worms. Let's go back to food and see what's in shawarma. Carrots, cabbage, potatoes, and now the most interesting thing is meat. Here we see worms and their eggs in abundance. Most of them have died during heat treatment, but some seem to be alive. Here you can find a variety of parasites. And if you get even closer, we see a flagellated protozoan, Giardia. Giardia is a protozoan that can cause the disease giardiasis in humans and animals. Giardia parasitizes in the small intestine and can penetrate into the bile ducts. Giardiasis can be present with various symptoms such as diarrhea, nausea, bloating, fatigue, weight loss, etc. Cysts are transmitted by water and food, or by insects such as flies. Today, 20% of all people on Earth, i.e. every fifth person, carries Giardia in his body. Well, the last thing I would like to see and share with you is sushi. I love fresh sushi. Let's see what's in the fish. There is also a variety of living microorganisms. A huge number of larvae. Roundworm larvae entering our body migrate with the bloodstream. Here are the shots where the larva feeds on the erythrocyte in the blood. When it grows up, it will attach itself in the intestines, where it will mature to sexual maturity and lay several thousand eggs. Why am I showing you this? Not to scare. I just want to share with you the information that we are literally surrounded by various microorganisms, many of which our body has to constantly fight. And if suddenly the immune system weakens, or too much pollution enters our body, then infection is inevitable. Knowing all this and turning to new technologies, one can perfectly engage in prevention and prevent a huge number of diseases caused by various fungi, viruses, helminths and bacteria. Resonance. Let's connect the electronic frequency generator to the antennas. We will place the antennas on the microscope platform under a petri dish or glass slide, and we will apply a special frequency with the correct signal shape. Today, thanks to our experiments, we know more than 750,000 frequencies that lead to resonance and suppression of various microorganisms. Now, we will see this process in use. That's what bioresonance does to the roundworm egg for a few seconds. The rupture of the membrane is like the rupture of a wine glass, isn't it? This is resonance in use. Now let's see how bioresonance will act on older species. When the effect begins, the discomfort causes the parasites to perk up. The larger the parasite, the longer it takes to work on it to get the result. So we will slightly speed up the video. After 10 minutes, we see a completely dead colony. Let's see what happens to the larva in the blood under the same exposure. Here the result is seen quite quickly. This is what happens to bacteria at the moment of bioresonance. These principles of influence formed the basis of the unique life balance devices. These are portable devices that help our body to prevent many diseases. The most important thing is that these electromagnetic waves are absolutely safe for the human body, because the frequency of vital activity of parasites does not intersect with the frequency of human vital activity. Life balance is completely safe. Today, our company represents the best bioresonance technologies on the market.
Bad breath. Halitosis is a main cause. By the time you got halitosis, you're loaded, because that's worm urine and worm droppings that you're breathing out. So it's no wonder your breath's bad. Yeah, critters, when they pee, that's called ammonia. So just go to a doctor, have a blood test, and see what level of ammonia is in your blood. If you have ammonia in your blood, that's called worm urine. That's what it is. So we have a test to see if you've got a lot of worms. If you're on a fast and you're fasting and you're on a diet and you get a headache, you got the headache because the worms are all peeing, trying to get you to eat something else. They're trying to make you sick so you'll get off of what you're doing and start eating. So you take some arginine and orthodine in a matter of 20 minutes. If the headache's gone, you've neutralized the worm urine and you know that you're loaded. All children that have little tiny pimples on the backs of their arms or little tiny pimples here on the edges of their cheeks have 5 varieties of critters in them. 5 varieties. It's time to deworm and it's time to get them out. Now what I found out is that vibration and frequency is everything. It is literally everything. If you take an aspirin, it changes the way you vibrate. And so it blocks the nerves so that you can't feel pain. If you take deworming programs, you change your vibration, and you change your vibration so dramatically that the worms and parasites either have to get out of you, this is no longer a good home, or they die in you. And then your lungs and your liver and all that stuff handle it. And you do it with water. I am the only that I know survivor of stomach and esophagus cancer in this nation. I'm the only one that I know. All right? I did it with frequency. A man by the name of Royal Rife in 1934 had a microscope and invented a particular device. I found one of his original devices. I used it, and it got rid of my cancer, and I haven't had it since. Now that was in 1934. So you can see what they've held from you. So what we did is we looked at Nikola Tesla, we looked at all his equipment, we did all his stuff, and I went out searching out original pieces of his equipment. I own more pieces of original Tesla equipment than any other human that I know. And so using lightning.
Are normal but are actually parasites. Bloating, even though you haven't eaten anything. Parasites can cause an immune response in your digestive tract that upon food going in, there is a cytokine inflammatory reaction that causes bloating. Waking up in the middle of the night is actually a pattern where your body is stressed from parasites because parasites can be more active at night. Lactose intolerance. This is actually developed in many people from having Giardia kind of parasite. Acne is caused in many cases by a disruption in your microbiome caused by parasites. IBS. Nobody even thinks twice, but bloating, constipation, diarrhea, stomach cramping and aching, these are not normal. These are caused by dysbiosis, which is the bacteria in your digestive tract being off. This is oftentimes caused by a parasite.
This is bioresonance testing. Well, it's the best way to check your overall health because it measures the frequency of every single organ and body system, so then you know where the problem is and where to direct your attention. So who's bioresonance for? If you're the kind of person who's been suffering from chronic illness, autoimmunity, allergies, or any kind of symptom and you don't know what's causing it. Maybe you've been to so many different doctors, they're all told you you're fine, you've had many blood tests done, and you still don't know what's going on. You need answers. Bioresonance is for you. If you have conditions such as IBS, constipation, constantly bloated, chronically fatigued, can't sleep well, or any kind of vague symptom and you still don't know what's going on with you, you should do bioresonance testing because then you will actually find the root causes of those symptoms. So bioresonance testing covers so many different parameters of your health, and in 10 minutes you will find the root causes to any kind of underlying health problem that you have, any symptom, any chronic illness where you don't know the answer. There's no other test that can do that in 10 minutes.